Welcome to Dodgers Daily. I'm Casey Porter. I'm so glad that you decided to tune in. We have a full show for you today, and I hope that you like it. But we're going to talk all about the intangibles, the tangibles on the field, and all about Game 3 tonight between the Dodgers and the Padres. It's going to be exciting. The series is tied 1-1, and the Padres have Blake Snell on the mound. The Dodgers have Tony Gonsolin, who has been one of, if not the best pitcher in the league, so it promises to be a great matchup, and we're going to dive all into it. But before we get too far into it, hey, just a reminder, if you like this video, if you like this kind of content, go and click that like button, leave a comment, tell all your friends about Dodgers Daily, and share this video so Dodgers Daily can keep growing and we can keep providing you content like this in the future. Okay, it's Tony Gonsolin for the Dodgers. Gonsolin has been one of the best pitchers in all of baseball, if not the best pitcher in 2022, but he has a postseason ERA of over 9. So the interesting aspect of this is which Tony Gonsolin will show up, the one that has been maybe the best pitcher in all the major leagues in 2022, or the Tony Gonsolin of the postseasons from the last 2 years where his ERA is over 9. Which Gonsolin will show up? It's going to be difficult no matter which Gonsolin shows up because Blake Snell is on the mound. The Padres, the city of San Diego, has not hosted a playoff series at home, a home playoff game in the major leagues for the Padres since 2006. So you know they're going to be fired up. They're coming off the momentum of the win in their Mets series. They're coming off the momentum of their win in Game 2 when they were trailing the Dodgers. In that game with Clayton Kershaw on the bump, they came back and won that. So they have momentum from those two instances. And then also they have the momentum of Blake Snell going for them. They're confident already whenever he pitches. And then they have the momentum of having the first home game in San Diego since 2006. So it's going to be an atmosphere that is just absolutely and totally epic. The Dodgers have to figure out a way to knock the wind out of all the sails of those intangibles, to knock the wind out of the sails of the atmosphere, and just simply make it about baseball again and what happens on the field, and don't get caught up in all that. And when you look at all the veteran leadership on this Dodgers team, Mookie Betts, that's why you pay a guy like this, is to come into an atmosphere like he's going to face tonight and perform well. That's why you pay Trey Turner. That's why you went and got Freddie Freeman. That's what Justin Turner has done his entire career. Will Smith has always been clutch, and so the Dodgers obviously have the people in place to handle an atmosphere like this and to go ahead and perform. But like I said, you got to get rid of all the circus around the game on the field and just simply remove those elements, make it all about what happens on the field. And if that happens, the Dodgers will probably be in good shape. We're going to go over all those matchups. We're going to talk about both pitchers, Blake Snell for the Padres and Tony Gonsolin. We're going to break them down and talk about how they do against the other team that they're going to be facing tonight. And we're going to get into all of that. So first of all, let's get into Blake Snell. Let's talk about him, how he's done against the Dodgers, and the matchups that, how the Dodgers have done against him and all that. So let's not waste any more time. Let's get right to it, and let's talk Dodgers baseball. Tony Gonsolin threw the third most innings of any Dodgers pitcher. He threw 130.1 innings this year in 2022. If he had thrown enough innings to qualify, which he didn't, he would have led the National League in ERA at 2.14, average against at 172, and he would have been top 10 in WHIP, which is walks and hits per innings, at 0.89. Gonsolin recorded this year career best in ERA, hits per innings pitched, strikeouts, and average against, and he had the best walks to innings pitched of his career this year if you discount 2019 and 2020, where he only threw 40 and 46 innings those years, so not a lot of sample size for those years. So a very good year, a career year for Tony Gonsolin. He is one of the few pitchers in all of baseball, but certainly in the Dodgers system, that features a split finger. That split finger pitch is absolutely going to be the key to tonight's game. He throws it about a third of the time, then he'll pair that with his four seam that's 93 and can touch 96. I'll bet you he touches 95, 96 quite a bit tonight with the adrenaline that he's going to have in the situation and setting he is going to be in. And then he also has a slider that he'll sprinkle in about a quarter of the time. So you're going to be seeing a split finger, four seam, slider mix, mainly the four seam, mainly the split finger. And in my opinion, the split finger is going to be the absolute matchup tonight, because when you look at the splits between whenever he gets ahead in the count and when he does not get ahead in the count, when he gets ahead in the count, hitters only hit 143 against Gonsolin. When he gets behind the count, it gets up above 200, which isn't that great, but it's better than whenever he's behind the count. But the deal is, when he gets behind the count, what happens is his walks and hits per innings really balloon to a situation to where it shows that he gives up base runners, and quite a few of them when he is behind in the count. And the big deal about that is we've seen how the Padres have been able to they've been able to move runners, and then once they've moved the runners, we've seen how the Padres have been able to situationally hit to score 4 runs in the first 2 games without actually the benefit of a base hit. So if Gonsolin is behind the count, his whip balloons, which means the Padres are going to have base runners, and they've done a good job moving those runners and then getting those runners in situational hitting. So it is absolutely imperative that Tony Gonsolin get ahead in the count tonight. And the thing about that is, I do not think the Padres are going to be aggressive. The reason why I think the split finger pitch is going to be the key to tonight's game, I don't think the Padres are going to swing at it. And so, he throws it for a strike about 50% of the time. So if he's able to land that thing for a strike, he's going to be ahead in the count, which means they're not going to have base runners. But if he doesn't throw it for a strike, they're going to take it, and he's going to be behind the count, which statistics and data would say that he's going to give up quite a few base runners, of which the Padres can then move them and then continue to situationally hit like they've been doing in Game 1 and Game 2. So I think that's the cat and mouse game. Does he land the split finger in the zone for a strike? Because I don't think the Padres are going to swing at it. You're looking at a chart of how the Dodgers do against Blake Snell, and if you just go down the line, you look, Freddie Freeman, Will Smith have had pretty good success, and then Austin Barnes. That's why he's going to be in the lineup tonight, obviously, because he has a 400 batting average. He has 2 for 5 against Blake Snell in his career. But if you look at that, other than those 3 hitters, Mookie Betts has been okay. Mookie Betts' on-base percentage is .372 against Snell. And we've talked about he is only 1 for 8, and he has just simply not been getting on base for the Dodgers, something he has to start doing. And then Trey Turner, if you look at this, Trey Turner, although he's had 2 home runs, he did have a home run in Game 2. He only got on base 1 time. So Mookie Betts, Trey Turner, we talked about that in the last episode. They have to get on base in front of Freddie Freeman and Will Smith, who have had success against Blake Snell, and that's going to be a big key. And you see Mookie Betts at .372. I'm going to go ahead and highlight that right here at .372. Mookie Betts has done a great job of getting on base against Blake Snell, so that's going to be a big key tonight. Does Mookie Betts have a big night? If he does, the Dodgers will be in good shape, because as you see, Freddie Freeman, you wouldn't expect it, but Freddie Freeman being left-handed against Blake Snell has had a lot of success, including a double, 2 RBIs, a .444 batting average, and look at his OPS against Blake Snell, 11.01. Will Smith as well, .313. I don't think that surprises anybody, the way just his smooth swing, everything looks so effortless to him. He would be the type of guy that would have success against Snell. So that .313 average does not surprise me. A .916 whip against Blake Snell is very, very good. His on-base percentage is .353, and Will Smith is very athletic. So I'll be interested to see with the left-hander Blake Snell, do the Dodgers, if they do get some base runners, do they first move, try to steal and try to move some runners over and just try to jumpstart an offense that has not been very consistent? We saw the Dodgers try to steal Mookie Betts the other night. He got caught stealing, but that was a right-handed situation to where you're trying to actually read the pitcher. Tonight will be a lefty. When you steal against a lefty, it is a first move steal, so you try to figure out when they're not going to pick to first. You guess the runner at first goes on first movement. So if he picks, you're out, but if he doesn't pick, you're going to be safe. So I'll be interested to see if the Dodgers get Mookie Betts and Will Smith and Trey Turner and guys like that on base, and then Justin Turner, although will they try to steal some bases on that lefty first move? So I wanted to finish that before I went to the next idea here. If you look at Justin Turner, just .214, but if you look at his on-base percentage, .389 against Snell. So, being in the 5-hole right here, which is where he was at in Game 2, do you go ahead and move him on up in the lineup to make him more of a table setter role versus a run producer role, knowing that that he gets on base a lot better than he actually hits Blake Snell. I think those are the types of decisions that the Dodgers are mulling over right now as we speak, and they're going to be big decisions. And you don't want to overthink things because baseball is a marathon, but you do. With 14 at-bats, that's not a huge sample size, but it's enough to at least put into consideration that, hey, Justin Turner gets on base a lot better than he actually hits Blake Snell, so let's put him in a situation to where he's getting on in front of guys that actually hit Blake Snell better so we can get our guys, the order would be guys that get on base more first and then guys that drive in run second. So do you move Turner up to be more of a table setter in this lineup? And then one of the things the Dodgers just simply have not done is they have not scored runs and generated offense from the bottom part of their lineup. And if you look at Trayce Thompson, 200 batting average against Snell. Chris Taylor, who is going to be in left field tonight. Thompson's going to be in center. He has a 200 batting average against Blake Snell, and just a 200 on base percentage. 333 for Trayce Thompson against Snell on base, which isn't terrible. It's certainly not unbelievably great. And then, you look at Mookie Betts, who hits 257, and then Trey Turner, who hits 200. So I don't like that combination of guys that don't get on base a whole lot against Snell. And then, even if they do, coming back to the top of the lineup against Betts and then Turner, who don't hit Blake Snell all that well. That does not set up to generate runs with the bottom of your lineup again. So I don't think the Dodgers, when you look at the marathon of baseball and you hate to just change things from day to day, although the Dodgers do a lot, that's not a great setup if you put Chris Taylor, Trayce Thompson, and then Betts and Turner as 4 hitters in a row, because Thompson, like I said, and Taylor don't get on base against Snell a whole lot, and then Mookie Betts and Trey Turner don't hit for a great average against Snell. So if you're not getting on base and then you don't have guys that hit real well to drive in runs against a certain matchup, like I said, that doesn't set up well to score a lot of runs with the bottom part of your lineup, which is something the Dodgers desperately need to start doing, because they need a little bit more, well, not a little bit more, they need a lot more consistency from their offense that they have not been getting. All their offense has been home runs, and like I said, that does not set up well. So when you put that into the equation, then you look at how Justin Turner does a lot better at getting on base versus actually hitting. Do you go ahead and put Justin Turner down in the lineup, or do you put him up the line? Where do you put him to try to figure out, somebody who can set the tables in front of hitters that can drive them in? So I think that's going to be an interesting cat and mouse as far as the decision making for the Dodgers and their lineup tonight. And so we're going to go ahead and now move on to the Padres lineup and look how they have done against Tony Gonsolin. So if you look at seongkim, 167 average. Juan Soto has definitely, Jurickson Profar actually has been the best hitter against Tony Gonsolin, but Juan Soto has been 333, and that's going to be a big matchup. Juan Soto obviously has not gotten it going against the Dodgers yet, and it's kind of disappointing that he hasn't, but yet the Dodgers still haven't won both games. So, seongkim, will he continue to lead off tonight? He only has a 1/6. Of course, it's only 6 at bats, so it's not a huge sample size. But if you just look at the data and you try to put your offense in the best position to have consistency, meaning give yourself a chance to score in the most amount of innings, seongkim, 167, whereas Jurickson Profar, 500. Trent Grisham, 400. Now, you want to know why the Padres have been able to score a lot with the bottom of the lineup? Just look right here. 500 for Jurickson Profar, Trent Grisham. Now, this is against Gonsolin, but these two guys have been hitting the baseball very well. Will Myers does not have any data against Tony Gonsolin, so that's going to be anybody's guess. So will the lineup stay the same? Will seongkim stay at the leadoff for the Padres, although he only hits 167 against Tony Gonsolin? So the thing that has to happen, if you look at this with Brandon Drury, Jake Cronenworth, that whenever Gonsolin has innings against guys that he normally has success against, he has to get them out, and then he has to economize and be very efficient. So when the Padres do score, unlike in Game 1 where when the Padres finally did score, they actually scored 3 runs off of Julio Urias, I should say. And, that's kind of an upset because Urias usually doesn't walk people, doesn't give up home runs, so he only gives up 1 run at a time. Because the Padres were able to string a couple of hits and then move runners in play, situational baseball. They actually scored 3 against him, and then they also had success against Kershaw. So, the thing tonight is, how does Tony Gonsolin figure out a way to minimize the innings that the Padres do score in to one maximum of 2 runs and not give up 3 like Urias did in the 5th inning of Game 1? And the way that you do that is that you make sure the matchups that favor you, you go ahead and dominate. That's something that he's going to simply have to do tonight. And again, like I said, the matchup, in my opinion, is that split finger. That split finger only gets hit hard about a third of the time, so it's a hard pitch to hit. And Gonsolin, like I said, throws it for a strike about 50% of the time. So I don't see the Padres, game planning to swing at that split finger. I don't think they will until they have to. So that's a pitch that if Gonsolin throws, I don't think the Padres are going to swing early in the count. So literally all he's going to have to do is land a split finger in the zone to get ahead in the count. Like I said, when he's ahead in the count, hitters just simply don't hit off of him. When he's behind the count, they don't hit great well against him, but they do get on base a lot more. So there's the matchup. Can he throw that split finger for a strike? From an offensive production perspective, one of the things that we've mentioned it a couple of times already that the Padres have been doing is, they have been scoring runs with the bottom of their lineup, and the way they've been doing that is they've been getting guys on base, and once they've gotten them on base, they've moved the runners over, and then they have situationally hit very well and gotten ground balls with 2 strikes and things of that nature to score runs with less than 2 outs without the benefit of a hit, something the Dodgers have not done. If you remember, the other night, Cody Bellinger got the hit that Mookie Betts doubled on the ball that was misplayed in center. Then Justin Turner strikes out. Then the Dodgers don't score. They didn't situationally hit, something the Padres did do in Game 2. So that's another factor tonight. And, as I look to my left and look at some of these numbers, if the Dodgers want to have a chance to put runs on the board, even if it's just 1, they have to execute. Just simply put, because like I've said many times on these episodes, relying on home runs to win games, and especially against guys like Blake Snell, and especially in a place like San Diego, and especially when marine layers come in and elements like that, that's not a recipe to win 10 more games this year and win a World Series. The Dodgers simply are going to have to be more consistent. We've talked about it. They're going to have to score runs at the bottom of the lineup to do that. They're going to have to get on base more, and then they're going to have to move runners and situationally hit better. Blake Snell, just for instance, as I look over here and look at the stats, he has given up just 4 home runs in total in his career against Los Angeles. 4 home runs. So that just shows you how difficult it's going to be to hit home runs off of him tonight. So you cannot rely on the long ball only to score runs. On the plus side, though, the Dodgers do have 4 players in the lineup tonight that have on-base percentages that are over 300. So I do think the Dodgers are going to get some base runners tonight. They're going to have chances to score. The question is, can they start hitting with runners in scoring position? They're 3 for 16. So far in the series with runners, or the other night, I should say. Don't quote me on that. Let's just put it this way. They have not been good with runners in scoring position. I can't remember the exact stat. The Dodgers have not been good with runners in scoring position, so that's going to be a key. The Dodgers, I think, like I said, they have 4 guys in the lineup that have on-base percentages over 300 against Snell, so I do think they're going to have some base runners. So the key is going to be, can they get base hits when they have runners in scoring position, something of which they have not done very well so far, and then also, can they situationally hit? When they have a runner at third and 1 out or no outs, can they hit a ground ball? Can they hit a fly ball? Can they do something to get that runner? And if you have runners at second, third, and no outs, can you hit a ground ball to the right side and not only score a run, but move that runner from second to third? And then all you need is another ground ball to score 2 runs. Can you do those kinds of things? The things that the Padres are doing, which is allowing them to score with the bottom of the lineup and create more consistent offense than the Dodgers have had. So, and Trey Turner also, the Dodgers have 4 hitters or 4 offensive players in the lineup that have on-base percentages over 300. If you look at Trey Turner, his is right at 300. So make that more than half of the Dodgers lineup that is very capable of getting on base tonight. So data would suggest that the Dodgers are going to get base runners. So what do you do with them? once you get them is going to be a key. So final thoughts on this. Of course, odds don't always work out the way that things suggest, but if the Dodgers were to win tonight, they would certainly be heavy favorites to win just one of the next two games, one of them being against Joe. It would be interesting to see if the Padres lose tonight, do they go ahead and throw Joe Musgrove in Game 4? Do they save him for Game 5 against Julio Urias and see how they would game plan that? But as of right now, it looks like Musgrove will probably throw Game 4. So if the Dodgers win tonight is definitely, in my opinion, a must-win for the Padres. If the Padres don't win, and they're faced with having to win 2 games in a row, and neither one of them with Yu Darvish or Blake Snell on the mound, and then one of them at Dodger Stadium, and then also against Julio Urias, the odds, of course, in sports, the great thing about sports is it's the ultimate reality show, and the odds don't always work in sports, and things don't always play out the way the odds suggest that they should. But the odds-on favorites, would be that would be a very difficult task for the Padres. Probably one that they, it would be one that would be almost impossible for them. So I think tonight is a very much so must win for the Padres. On the flip side, it's a very much so need to win for the Dodgers. Of course, if the Dodgers do lose and they go down 2-1, they would have to beat Joe Musgrove on Saturday, and that would be a very difficult task at San Diego in an environment where the Padres could clinch their ability to move on. But if you did beat Joe Musgrove, then the advantage would go back in Game 5 to the Dodgers at Dodger Stadium with Julio Urias on the bump. So, Joe Musgrove hasn't been great against the Dodgers. So this isn't a must-win for LA, but it is certainly we really need to win this game type of deal, because if you do, you've had 2 chances in a row in this series. After you won Game 1, you had a chance in Game 2. Now you have a chance in Game 3 to really stranglehold this series. If you win either one of those 2 games, I've been saying it the whole time, the only way the Padres had a chance, not the only way, but the greatest odds for the Padres to win this series is if they win both games with Yu Darvish and Blake Snell on the mound. If they do that, that doesn't guarantee they're going to win the series, but that was their one window, in my opinion, to win the series. If the Dodgers just win one of the 2 games between Yu Darvish and Blake Snell, they have a stranglehold on this series. There is no doubt about that. And so they have the second chance tonight in Game 3 to do that. So hopefully they can walk through that door and get that done. And, another aspect of this is the Dodgers, they won 111 games, which is great, but they played how many games down the stretch that were just so meaningless? The atmosphere was kind of dead. It wasn't competitive. Now all of a sudden you're flipping back into that big game mode to where this one game hinges so much on it. So can the Dodgers flip that switch and get back into big game mode, which is more difficult than people think to do? And so we'll see if the Dodgers are able to do that. But when you look at Mookie Betts and Trey Turner and Freddie Freeman, Justin Turner, Will Smith, and Austin Barnes, who caught the last pitch of the 2020 World Championship for the Dodgers, certainly LA has plenty of veteran players that know how to do that. We'll know how to handle this environment, but man, this is going to be an exciting game. It is going to be tough. Blake Snell is going to present a great challenge, and the Padres are just simply going to be juiced up and ready to feed off of all the momentum. Like we said earlier, they're created by beating the Mets and then beating Clayton Kershaw in Game 2, and then by also being at home for a playoff game, the first one in San Diego since 2006. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be epic. I cannot wait until 5:37 Pacific. The game will be televised on Fox Sports 1. Joe Davis, I don't think he'll be on the call again. I know Dodgers fans were very disappointed in that, if not upset, but we'll see. I don't know that for a fact, but he was not on the call last time, but hopefully he is. And then hopefully the Dodgers can go ahead and beat the Padres tonight and go ahead and get that stranglehold that we've been looking for these last 2 games. I'm glad that you tuned in to Dodgers Daily as we set up all the matchups for Game 3 tonight, the epic matchup between the Dodgers and Padres at 5:37 Pacific. Game 3, the series is tied 1-1 on Fox Sports 1. I hope that you tune in tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll recap Game 3. We'll set you up for Game 4, which looks like Joe Musgrove for the Padres and probably Tyler Anderson for the Dodgers. I also hope that you visit DodgersDaily.net. That's DodgersDaily.net. And I also hope that you visit Dodgers Daily on all social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or TikTok. And I also hope that you become a subscriber to the Dodgers Daily podcast on the podcast streaming service of your choice. As always, hey, and just a reminder before we go, again, if you like this video, go ahead and click that like button, leave a comment, tell all your friends about Dodgers Daily, and share this video so Dodgers Daily can keep growing and we can keep providing you content like this in the future. As always, thanks for tuning in, and go Dodgers. It's a big one tonight.